And we're on. Hello and welcome to podcast episode 130 of Rope Boxing. I was going to say the two Daves bring you, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can clearly see there's only one Dave, the ugly one, Dave G, bringing to you this prediction episode, if you like, by myself. But it's going to be a bit of a weird one, this one, guys. So me and Dave have struggled this week to get together. I have things going on Monday. Dave, who was supposed to record yesterday, was Thursday now, so he was supposed to record on Wednesday. He was stuck in London working away. It's Thursday now. He's still stuck in London. I don't even think the guy's left work yet. But we needed to get some predictions out. We're going to bring you a bumper episode on Monday to go over everything that we discussed last week with Galal Yafai and Peter McGraw, Conor Walker and Callum Walsh, and obviously bring you our review of everything that's going on this weekend coming. However, I just say it's going to be a bit of a weird one. I'm going to give you my predictions. I'm going to go for the prediction league results, my predictions for the weekend coming up, the winner's weekly wager, put it out there. And when Dave gets home, whatever time that may be, he's going to send over his predictions. I'm going to put them together. I'm going to put it out on our podcast platform, which at the moment is Spotify. And we're also available on YouTube. I've had a message on YouTube from one of our loyal followers. I think it was Fat Terry, I think your name is. Thanks for getting in touch. Thanks for listening. Much appreciated, brother. At the moment, we're only going on Spotify, which is free and is our biggest downloaded podcast platform. Apple, Amazon, Google, a couple of the other ones are valuable, but they're not getting the numbers. Where Spotify is free, YouTube is the one that's getting the numbers. That is free. So we're bringing you free content, and we don't want to pay anything. We're talking boxing. We're trying to keep costs down, if you like. So we're available on Spotify. We're available on YouTube. So if you are watching on YouTube, you can see the bottom of the screen there. Please like, share, and subscribe via Spotify and via YouTube. I know it says Apple review in there, but just give us a review on YouTube and Spotify as well. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a funny episode, this one. It's a Thursday. It's getting late. I've got to head to work, but we needed to get some predictions out. So we are going to bring you something. This is what's called commitment. Right. So I am going to start with the prediction league. Now, my notes are literally all over the place from last week. I know who's won, but I'll get there in the end. I'll try and get there in the end, if you like. So, yeah, let's crack in, ladies and gentlemen. From what I believe, the score was Dave G 10, Dave H 9 going into last weekend. So, Galal Yafai versus Rodriguez. Yes, we'll bring you a review of what happened at the weekend. But result-wise, if you are a hardcore boxing fan, you probably know what's happened. We both went for Galal Yafai to win this fight on points. He didn't, so there was nothing for me and Dave there because we both went for Galal on points. Conor Walker versus Liam Taylor. We both went for Conor Walker, and this is where it gets messy. I went for the KO in round 10, so that's 3 points for me. And Dave went for the KO in round 7, and what a KO it was. So he picks up a full house, basically. He gets the 6 points there. Well done, Dave. Peter McGraw versus Einat Baluta. We both went for Peter McGraw on points. So that's 3 points apiece there. And Callum Walsh versus his Mexican opponent, Espadez. We both went for Callum Walsh by KO. It was stopped on a cut, which we elaborate on Monday. I went for 4. Dave went for 6. Callum done it in 5 via the cut. So there's 3 points apiece there. Making the scores from last weekend. Dave G 9. Dave H 12. Making Dave the winner this week. Going into this weekend's action, the prediction league, as I know, is Dave G 10, Dave H 10. I could be wrong, but I'm sure it's 10-10. He wins 1, I win 1. He wins 1, I win 1. But he's definitely won this week anyway. Which obviously, when we go into our winner's weekly wager, he will be picking that for the fight of his choice. And we've got a few to get stuck into this week, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start on Friday night. There's a bit going on. Well, I say there's a bit. There's one major fight going on Friday night over in Quebec City, Canada. We see the return of one of our favourites on this podcast, Christian Mbilli. It's his first outing of 2025 for the French Cameroonian based out in Canada. He's 28-0, 23 knockouts. We know we speak about him so much in this podcast. He's probably one of the first fighters we spoke about covering his fights in the 2.5 years we've been doing this. Very exciting fighter, front-footed fighter, highly ranked at 168 behind, the other contenders in the division, just waiting for Canelo now to see what he does against Crawford before he fucks off and the belts are scattered. But he's fighting here on Friday night. He takes on a tough, experienced Polish fighter in Magic Selecki. Now, Selecki, we know as boxing fans, last time we saw him, he got stopped by Diego Pacheco. And Diego Pacheco is, I'm on record for saying it on this podcast, I think he's the best 168 fighter outside Canelo. And I stand by that. I know you've got other contenders with your Caleb Plants, in your Edgar Belangas. Hamza Shiraz has now moved out. Christian Mbilli himself. But I do believe Diego Pacheco is the next guy. But he stopped Selecki. I think he was the first guy ever to stop Selecki. I know Selecki's been beat in the past when he stepped up against contenders like Dimitri Andrade, former champions as well, Danny Jacobs. So he's only kind of really fallen at the top table. Now, when me and Dave have spoken about Christian Mbilli, we've kind of said there's a blueprint to beat him, but no one's really kind of found that blueprint as of yet. We saw his last fight against Sergei Derenchenko, a gatekeeper now at 168. Very tough night's work, very hard guy to get round, to navigate round. Yes, you can beat him. He's lost X amount of fights, but he is literally a gatekeeper. You beat him, you're kind of ready to challenge for the top table, But unfortunately that night, Christian Mbilli got the win, and he got the win well. But from my memory's recollection, I think Derenchenko injured his hand, or he injured his shoulder, and he was literally fighting with one hand. So it was a bit of a shame. But when we talk about blueprints, Dave's always said it, and he'll probably elaborate when he sends over his content to me. If you can go through the middle, Christian Mbilli's got a poor defense. He swings wild hooks, but powerful wild hooks. He's got that one punch power. Even though he doesn't always display it, he breaks you down. He's fast. He's fit. He's muscular. Big lung capacity, muscle bound. He just comes forward and throws hooks, and it's worked till now. And he's got to his ranking position through merit. He's got there through merit. So what everyone thinks about him, he's got there through merit. Nobody's beat him as of yet. Do I think the Polish guy's going to beat him? I think he might ask him a few questions. He's not really a power puncher himself. He can box a bit. But unless you can kind of find the blueprint, which me and Dave find, and a lot of other boxing fans find as well, straight through the middle where there's no guard, catch him clean, catch him flush, catch him hard, you might actually stop him. But it's like a freight train. We talk about last weekend's boxing on Monday about Rodriguez coming forward and throwing loads of punches. We said it about William Zepeda and X amount of other boxers. And Billy's kind of the same at 168. But the lack of defense, no one's kind of taken advantage of it yet. And do I think Selecki will take advantage of it at the weekend? No, I don't. So I'm going to go straight in with my prediction here, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's going to be a decent fight. I don't think it's going to be the fight of the weekend, but I think the Christian Mbilli, unless he's asked any questions by Selecki, I think he'll do Christian Mbilli things. Walk forward, throw loads of shots, loads of volume, loads of output, wear his man down, and I think it'll be the second time in his career that he'll get stopped. So I'm going for a late stoppage from Christian Mbilli. I'm going for a round 10 stoppage. I think it's only for 10 rounds anyway. Don't quote me on it, but I'm sure it's only a 10 rounder over in Quebec. So basically, if it is over 10, it's the last round stoppage from Mbilli. I think it'd be a step too far, if you like, from Selecki against another contender, just like Diego Pacheco. So I'm going for a round 10 stoppage there, guys. And just quickly on this card in Quebec, I think it's either Tiger Promotions in association with Top Rank, and it's on ESPN Plus. I'll try and find a stream for us over here in the UK. Arsene Black Makhmudov. Yes, we all remember Makhmudov, the one that does the funny neck twinges. The big monster of the division. Nobody wanted to put their hand up to face him. Bit like Moza Tuma at the moment. Got in the ring with Ajit Caballero, and that's all she wrote. He was stopped, and now nobody kind of cares for him, unfortunately. In the fickle world we live in boxing, he's had... I think he's lost 2 in 3 now going forward after that Caballero defeat. He takes on an unbeaten 35-year-old Jamaican fella in Ricardo Brown, who's got 11 knockouts in 12 fights. I mean, we don't know the opposition. Haven't really box wrecked too much of the Jamaican fella, but if Makhmudov loses here against what looks like a club level fighter, it's probably game over for him. So yeah, that was what you could really call a hype job. But yeah, that's over on, as I said, ESPN on Friday night. Get stuck into that fight to start your weekend off, guys. And on the Saturday night, we jump over to Kansas, USA. It's the return of Deontay Wilder after a year. Yes, the famous Mr. Wilder, the bronze bomber, the guy that delivers those highlight reel moments, the one punch, the one hitter quitters, get you on the edge of your seat. People kind of slag him off. He's got no sort of fundamentals. He waits for that moment. Whatever you think of Deontay Wilder, he's 39 now. Has he still got it? Hasn't he? The Malik Scott, I mean, we've heard this week in the news that Malik Scott's now departed. I think that's great news, even for Deontay Wilder being at 39. I think that was a bad move. Yes, we can all argue that when Malik Scott came, the level of opponent kind of stepped up for Deontay Wilder. Obviously, Tyson Fury 3, Joseph Parker, and then getting stopped by Zhili Zhang. Obviously, Malik Scott was a part of that. But I think a lot of us, including myself, think that Malik Scott tried to turn Deontay Wilder into Malik Scott or turn him into a boxer. You know, he tried to teach an old dog new tricks. But as I said on here about my guy, Andy Cruz, who's looking to go forward, sit down on his punches and kind of, fight on the inside. I don't believe he's that guy. And I think hopefully, touch wood, he doesn't get found out. But I think time will tell. Deontay Wilder's not that guy. He's a knockout merchant. That's why we love him. That's why people tune into him. I'm not sure too many people are going to tune into this fight at the weekend, guys. He's fighting Tyrell Herndon, 24-5. He's been knocked out by Richard Torres Jr. and Brandon Glanton. Their names. Especially Torres Jr. is an upcoming prospect. Glanton, we just saw, got absolutely scored by Chris Billam-Smith. So he's at a certain level. This ain't about Herndon. This is about Deontay Wilder. It's about Deontay Wilder seeing if he can shake off what I call his dartitis in boxing. We saw it against Parker. We saw it against Zhili Zhang. The right hand's there, but you can't detonate. You can't let it go. And if you can't let it go or detonate in the main event against this guy, as I just said there about Makhmudov briefly, if you can't detonate, if you can't do anything against this level opponent, it's got to be lights out. It's got to be curtains, especially if he wants to be, floating around the top table again, like he's been stating all week that he wants to be a unified champion. And people can laugh, and that's fine. That's his ambition. That's what he wants to do. I can't personally see it happening. And talking of the AJ fight, I mean, if he does nothing here, I mean, do we want to see it anyway? I'm not bothered. It's past his sell-by date in terms of the best versus the best. It will just be a fight, like Kell Brook against Amir Khan. It became a fight. Yes, Kell Brook came off as the winner, but who would have won in their prime? We'll never know. We will never know. But this is all about Deontay Wilder at the weekend. I'm not sure who he's with going into this fight. But me and David spoke about it before, and I miss the one-hitter quitter from him. I do. I miss the highlight reel knockout moments from him. I miss him getting schooled and then finding that gap like he did against Luis Ortiz and just throwing that bomb from the Bond squad and sparking people. Yes, I'm a fan of the sweet science, but sometimes it is nice to get on your edge of your seat and scream when you see shots like that. So I'm hoping that Deontay Wilder still has got a little bit left, and I'm hoping he can detonate and get rid of this guy. I couldn't care less what round it is. I couldn't care less if Herndon puts on a masterclass and schools him. But Deontay Wilder does find that gap and does detonate and hurts his opponent. So yeah, I'm going to go for Deontay Wilder to stop Tyrell Herndon. I'm hoping he's going to be in beast mode. I hope he does it early. Actually, I'm hoping he's got the same kind of mentality as he did for the Dominic Brazil fight when he went in there and stopped him in a round or whatever it was. No fucking about. Go in there and show him I am the boss. I'm the biggest puncher in this division still, and he is. The power doesn't disappear overnight. So I'm going to go a round later from the Dominic Brazil one. I think that was round 1. So I'm going to go for Deontay Wilder to knock out Tyrell Herndon in round 2. So that is on BLK Prime pay-per-view. Now, it's to me and other boxing fans, it's not a pay-per-view fight. BLK Prime, you don't hear. Last time I heard BLK. Let's get me words out. Prime doing an event was Terence Crawford versus David Evanesian. I haven't heard of him since, but I don't know what the relationship is with him now and PBC and Al Heyman is obviously not on there. Somebody said this is actually on a Showtime app, but didn't think Showtime was still going. Either way, I don't think many people are going to be paying for it, but a lot of people will be watching, if you get my drift. So yeah, if you want to pay the subscription fee to BLK Prime, get stuck in there on Saturday night. That's over in the States, and we'll stick in the States. Boxing fans, I've jumped straight into Zurdo Ramirez versus Unel Dorticus over in Anaheim. Yes, Honda Center. We know it's on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez. I will elaborate on that at the end of this review. I'm not too bothered about that, and I'll give my reasons why. I'm bothered about this fight, though. Unified Cruiserweight Championship of the World. Zurdo coming off that great win against Chris Billam-Smith. Dorticus is a character that's been inactive for about a year. I think he only fights once a year now. He's got to be pushing 40. I haven't double checked. If not, he's mid 30s, pushing 40. Good career. Dorticus was involved in the cruiserweight scene with Gassiev and Usyk and Bradis. I think his only 2 defeats have been to Bradis and Gassiev. I think Gassiev is the only guy to stop him. Cuban style, big, tough, awkward, can punch, 27 wins and 25 KOs. The guy's good, or the guy was good. The level of opponents he's been fighting, guys, since that Gassiev knockout or the Bradis defeat, I can't remember which one came first, has been journeyman, again, club level fighters that kind of are not on his level. So it's a big jump going from these kind of guys with inactivity, fighting Zurdo, who is had a really good record of lately, beating Gulamarian. Obviously, went in with Bivol, was schooled. It's his only loss to date. No one to take that away from him. But he is the guy. He's the guy, along with Jai Bataille. Me and Dave are very high on Jai. We think Jai is the number one, the Ring Magazine champion, IBF champion. You know, Badu Jack's got his belt, whatever he's doing with his. But these are the two guys. And we need to see Zurdo beat Dorticus on Saturday night in Arnhem so we can get the fight between the number one versus the number two. Before I make my prediction, the soundbites coming out this week, guys, is that if Zurdo does win, it's highly likely because of the commercial value of Mr. Jake Paul, he will get a shot at the cruiserweight title. I mean, hashtag bin the belts if that's what's going to happen. Hashtag bin the belts, and that goes for Jai Bataille. Just fuck off from this division. Dip your toe in at Brisbane if you want. Add that to your legacy for whatever it's worth and jump up to heavyweight because it's a crap division as it is. And if you're giving title shots to go off the Disney Channel, I mean, it's poor. It's poor. And obviously the WBC will be involved in that because they always are when there's 3% to be had. But I think this is a good fight the weekend. I think Dorticus may have a bit left in that old engine. You know, he's certainly got the skills. He's certainly got the power. That doesn't disappear overnight. But Zurdo's impressed me since he's jumped up from 168. He looks the part. Chris Billam-Smith was absolutely... I just spoke there about Billam-Smith against Brandon Glanton, the levels between the two guys. But we saw the levels with Zurdo and Chris Billam-Smith. It's chalk and cheese. If Zurdo wants to box around the Cuban, I think he can. If he wants to stand and trade with the Cuban, I think he can. I think he's got a fantastic chin. He does everything kind of slow and robotic, but it's very effective at what he does. The only guy that's kind of dictated to that robotic style and made it look robotic is Bivol, who's Bivol's elite. Zurdo's not elite. Jai's not elite just yet. But yeah, I think this is going to be a really good fight. I think Dorticus is going to get frustrated. I think he's going to try and get on the inside. But I think Zurdo's going to stick to his boxing. I don't think he stops Dorticus, but I think it might be quite a huge points win for Zurdo on the night. So, and I hope Zurdo wins in terms of getting the Jai fight. But I'll be gutted if Jake Paul does get involved with the title here to become unified champion of the world. But that's a conversation for another day. So, as I just said there, guys, my prediction for the weekend is Zurdo Ramirez to beat Dorticus on points and stay and still, should I say, the unified cruiserweight champion of the world. Also on this card, my phone's buzzing. That might be Dave. Let's have a nosy. No, it's not. It's somebody else. Floyd Schofield taking on Tevin Farmer. I don't think there's any straps involved here. It might be some sort of bullshit ranking event. I'm not too sure. Last time we saw Floyd Schofield was on a hospital bed with a load of pipes hanging out of him, weight drain or whatever it was. Going into the Shakur Stevenson fight, had to pull out. Josh Padley stepped in. We don't want to go down that route again. Floyd Schofield is fit, ready to go against a guy in Tevin Farmer who really, for a guy that's, again, mid-30s, back at nearly 40, is having a kind of an Indian summer. His stock has risen since those William Tapeda fights. Think what you want. Did he win the first fight? Possibly. Didn't get a decision, so they rolled it back again. Tapeda was much better in the second fight. I don't think there's any doubt that he won that fight, but Tevin Farmer dealt with the style very well, very comfortably, but it just wasn't enough output. Now, Floyd Schofield's a very young talent, 18-0, 12 knockouts, only 22 years of age. Another one that me and Dave put in the bracket of the young, slick black Americans that's got the sweet science, very appealing to the eye, hit and not get hit. So to me, this fight goes three ways for me, guys. I think you might see, for number one, I think you might see a slick masterclass from Schofield. I mean, it's the biggest test on his CV so far in Tevin Farmer. For whatever age Tevin Farmer is, he's a hard night's work. You can kind of call him a gatekeeper, if you like, in his division. Or, number two, you can see Tevin Farmer having another night like he did against William Tapeda, actually put Schofield down, give him all sorts of nightmares, Schofield kind of just nicks it because the output's more than Farmer. Farmer hasn't really got much of an output. He's not really a big puncher. I think he's only got literally 8 KOs, on his CV, but that's not his game. Or we could have for number 3. I think you've got Southpaw versus Orthodox here. The style should hopefully gel, but they might not gel. You might see a clash of styles where you go, I go, you go, I go, or in another sense, you don't go, I don't go, you don't go, I don't go. You might see him, just be very hesitant and not engaging. I hope that's not the case. But if Tevin Farmer did not fight William Zepeda, I'd be going Floyd Schofield all day long, twice on a Sunday. But I don't think it's that easy. I really don't. I think Farmer's going to have his moments. I could possibly see him putting Schofield down. A shot he doesn't see coming. Tucks up well. He has that shoulder roll like a Poundland version of Floyd. And that's not disrespectful because no one could do it like Floyd, in my opinion. He's quite hard to land flush on. But he's got to have some sort of output to win the fight. And this is why I think Schofield does enough to win the fight. I think he gets in and out, in and out, in and out, lands, point scores. It's not the fight of the weekend, but I think Floyd Schofield does enough. I don't think he makes any sort of statement here. But, he goes on to become, 19-0 with a points victory. So that's where I'm looking at this one, guys. Floyd Schofield to win the fight on points against a very tough, durable and awkward fight. I'd say he's 35. A guy having a kind of an Indian summit, if you like, in Tevin Farmer. So yeah. Obviously, they're undercard on this. I'm not going to call it a circus. You could put it a circus in brackets, if you like. Jake Paul against Julio Cesar Chavez. Yeah. Me and Dave have been supportive of Jake Paul as a promoter. We've actually been supportive of him in his boxing career. We've covered his fights when he's fought legit boxers. Dave watched the Mike Tyson fight. I stuck to my guns and never watched it. I think it was an absolute shit show in terms of what people were invested in. A man pushing into his 60s, a granddad that's been ill, had blood transfusions, was last seen in a wheelchair, smoking weed. It's just not a good look for boxing. It was a sanctioned fight as well. It's poor. It's pathetic. It's a joke. Yes, it was on Netflix. Yes, it makes money. Do I care? No, I'm here for the sport itself. But that's been and gone now. Julio Cesar Chavez, I'm going to keep this brief, guys. Jake Paul will win this fight because there's a small print. There is a small print. Now, I just said there I did not watch the Mike Tyson fight, and I didn't. But we're all on Twitter, we're all on Instagram, we're all on Facebook. As we follow boxing, boxing posts, things come up, highlight reels come up. And I did manage to watch a 30-second reel, back earlier on in the year of Jake Paul against Mike Tyson because people... waxing lyrical is not the right word. People were talking about Mike Tyson throwing a right hook against Jake Paul, guard down, easy to hit, and he stopped. Just stopped, like I'm stopping now. He just stopped. Why? It was a professional fight. It was a sanctioned fight. It was a licensed fight, and he stopped. We all know why he stopped, guys. There's a small print there. You're not allowed to knock Jake Paul out. He's the cash guy. He's the cash cow. He's the guy that's going to make a lot of people a lot of money. And I believe opponent like Julio Cesar Chavez, who again, probably 39, 40, wherever he is, miles on the clock, was he 54, 6-1? Yes, he's got 34 KOs. He's not really the right kind of guy to be getting in here. He's got a past. He's got a history. He's very controversial. He's been very disappointed for the old man. Hasn't carried the name. He's had incidents inside the ring, outside the ring. When he was world champion, it was debatable whether he should have won that fight and things like that. He was suspended for marijuana use. I'm not going to kind of badmouth the guy. But allegedly, he's going to get in there, make a few shapes, make a few silhouettes, make Jake Paul look good. And it's going to be a time where they whisper each other like in WWE. Now's the time. And Jake Paul will put him down and he'll stop him. It's in the small print, guys. It's exactly what's going to happen. And that's all I've got to say on it. And Jake Paul, for whatever you think of him, I think he's a fantastic promoter. He's getting the girls well paid and he's going on a boxing career for whatever it's worth. But the 3% of WBC will be smelling this and they'll be all over it and he'll probably end up getting the Zurdo Ramirez fight because Zurdo Ramirez will be his easiest fight to date for a lot of career-ending money because it'll end up being on Netflix and everything else that goes along with it. But yeah, I haven't got a lot of time for this fight. I will watch it because it is a boxing match. It isn't an MMA guy against against a boxer, a bit like Ngannou, or it's not an MMA guy against a YouTuber. Yes, I know I called him previously a YouTuber / guy of the Disney Channel, but it is kind of a fight, and I've got to kind of stick with that narrative, if you like. But yeah, and by the way, he did lose to an MMA fighter not so recently, didn't he? Chavez, Anderson Silva. I think Anderson Silva had a record of 1-1. So I mean, come on. So yeah, I'm Jake Paul round 5, 5, 6. Gonna go 6, just in case Dave bothers to predict this fight as well. So yeah, that's on the Zone, I believe. I think that's on the Zone. I'm sure that's on the Zone on Saturday night. I might be wrong, but yeah, I'll be tuning in to the other 2 fights anyway. If I miss the main event, who cares? We'll bring you a review on Monday for what it's worth. Right, last one to preview, guys. A bit of English action here. Well, I say English action. European light heavyweight, the proper EBU belt, light heavyweight title on the line. GBM card over in Hull. We've got Shakan Pitters versus Bradley Ray. Now, when we brought I think it was Shakan Pitters versus Dos Santos for the EBU title. I think I remember they've had a lot of problems with this. Dos Santos pulled out, so Pitters couldn't fight, and I think Bradley Ray got the opportunity to fight Pitters the next time. Pitters had to pull out through injury. It's been some kind of really bad kind of take for this belt going forward with GBM, but with hopefully nothing happens between now and Saturday night that we do get this fight. And this is a decent fight. I'm looking forward to this fight. Shakan Pitters, like everything about him, 20 and 2, should I say, 7 knockouts. His only stoppage was against Spider Richards, and the other defeat on his record was against Dan Aziz. So he's fallen against legit British / European fringe level contenders, if you like. So there's no shame in that. And Bradley Ray was seeing most of his work on Sky Sports under Boxer. Lost to Tyler Denny quite convincingly, if you like. Tyler Denny's a really good boxer, so we kind of outclassed him, if you like. Don't know what's happened since. He's not on that Sky Sports platform. Sounds like a bit like a Josh Kelly, Eddie Herndon kind of thing. It seems to be dropped. Going through journeymen since, not really a good level of opponents going into Shakan Pitters. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Shakan Pitters is a world beater, but he's better than the level of opponents and Bradley Ray's been fighting since. But I think either man can win this. Ray's the younger man at 27. Shakan Pitters is 35. Last roll of dice for him here. I'm a Pitters fan, not because he's from the Midlands as well. I like the way he fights. He's tall, long, rangy, gets behind that jab. When he smells blood, he goes in for the kill. Yes, he's only got 7 KOs on his record, but I like that kind of awkward style he's got. He's got a bit of a Hamza Shiraz style, if you like. Bradley Ray, he can punch as well. Again, only 10 KOs in 20 fights, kind of irrelevant. When he gets his chance, he gets inside well, and he kind of he does a lot of work to the body. And Shakan Pitters is so long. That kind of torso could be kind of made for Bradley Ray, but Bradley Ray's obviously got to get inside and get to that torso. But I don't think he will. I think Pitters will have enough to keep him off with the jab, and it'll be the shot he doesn't see coming. I think there'll be a time in the fight where Bradley Ray kind of drops his guard, puts his head down. Shakan Pitters kind of punches low, knocks him, hurts him, buzzed him, smells blood, and goes in for a pill. I can see a lot of hooks coming in, but I think for as long as it lasts, guys, I do think this will be a really good fight. I'm looking forward to this one. It's the main event on GBM. ATSE for the boys putting on decent shows as usual. But I am more of a Shakan Pitters fan than I am of Bradley Ray, guys. So I'm going to go in for my prediction here. Good fight. Bradley Ray would have his moments, but I don't think there'll be too many of the moments. I think Shakan Pitters now at the age of 35 will take his chance. You know, and I think it's going to stop Bradley Ray. Bradley Ray's, as I say, he's never been stopped. His only defeat was to Tyler Denny, but I think now he does get stopped. I'm going to go round 8. Yeah. Or should I go a bit later? Give Bradley Ray a bit more love. Yeah, I'm going to go round 10. I'm going to go for another round 10. Shakan Pitters will stop Bradley Ray in round 10. And hopefully Shakan Pitters can kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Cannon fodder is not the word I'm looking for. Put Shakan Pitters in with Ben Whittaker next. Let Ben Whittaker fight for the European. Get Shakan Pitters paid. He's a professional fighter, but he's more or less semi-pro because he's got a full-time job. So getting paid, get him on Sky Sports, get him on a massive platform. And don't get me wrong, he's on DAZN at the moment, but Sky Sports still brings, a casual eye, if you like. Not everyone's got the DAZN app. But yeah, but before I'm jumping the gun there, guys, but I do want to see Shakan Pitters get paid, get that European belt, put on a good performance before he, hangs up the glove, because 35 is round about the age, really, for fighters. But yeah, Shakan Pitters, round 10 stoppage against Bradley Ray. That is on DAZN. And Shaquille Thompson, by the way, I did mention him not so long ago when I've done another solo review. He was in talks to fight one of my favourite fighters, Janibek Anim Hanala. He's fighting against TBA this week. So good luck against TBA for Shaquille Thompson. Right, I did write down the Winners Weekly Wager. So if you were following earlier, the Prediction League, yes, is here we are. If you're following the Prediction League earlier, you would have realised Mr. Holland did win the weekly wager this week. We had £74 in the pot, as I won last week, guys. I went for Callum Walsh to get the job done against his Mexican opponent in round 4. Obviously, it was stopping the clash. It went to round 5. So that's 3 points I earned for the weekly wager. Obviously, we turn it into pounds. Mr. Holland doubles it, which makes it £6 in the pot. Going into this week, we have £80 in our Winners Weekly Wager pot. And obviously, at the end of the year, the money that we've raised will go to a charity of the listeners and the visual viewers' choice, a boxing-related charity. We'll put the vote out on Twitter nearer the time. So, yeah, Dave will tell us where he's going. Personally, where I would go this week would be Deontay Wilder. I think he's got one last roll of dice in him. I'm hoping he has. But Dave might see it different, but it's his choice, and we'll see where it goes. So, yeah. What have I done there? Half an hour of me waffling. After I finish this, what you'll be obviously watching and listening via Spotify now. Only Spotify 4 now, guys. And you'll hear the dulcet tones of Mr. Holland giving his predictions on the same fights. But we will be back on Monday. That's a promise. Bit of a bumper episode. Last weekend's reviews, this weekend's reviews, a bit of news. We'll talk a bit of Usyk splitting from Krasiev and everything else that goes along with that. It's coming up soon. Usyk Dubois, what's happening with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. That date seems to be settled. Obviously, Pacquiao's coming up. All sorts of different news we'll bring you up, but we will be back. That's a promise. So yeah. So as I normally say, like, share, and subscribe to Spotify, YouTube. I know I sound like a broken record, but please do it. It helps with the algorithms, helps with the numbers. We're just a small independent podcast platform, boxing podcast platform, if you like, just trying to grow like our boxing brothers. I'm rushing my words now because I've got to go work. But yeah, until Monday, have a great weekend. Stay safe, and I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. I can tell I'm getting tongue-tied. I'm rushing. But yeah, enjoy the boxing as well, and have a great weekend, guys. And over to Dave. Peace out.
Right, so my predictions for this weekend's boxing. So we have Mbilli versus Suliceki. Sorry, apologies again. My pronunciation is shit when it comes to names, but I think this is another keep busy fight for Christian Mbilli. It seems to be having a lot of them. We're always waiting for a big fight to come along. Again, it's another fight. Pacheco's fought this guy and beat him in 6 rounds. I just feel like it's a yardstick again, one of them type of fights. So, but I think Mbilli, you know what he's like. He's a come forward fighter, throws wide hooks. It's happy to stand and trade. I want to see what it's like when he gets pushed back, but it's not going to be from this guy. So I predict an Mbilli stoppage in round number 4. I think you'd have too much for him. Moving on to Wilder and Herndon. Never heard of him. But Wilder's come off a few, let's say poor performances. Doesn't seem to have the legs anymore. He's talking about being a unified champion again. I don't see it, but I think he will. This is trying to build his confidence, so I do think that he will come through this fight and come through it well. I predict that Wilder will get the stoppage in round number 2. Zurdo versus Dorticus. This fight a few years ago would have been an amazing fight. Really, really good fight. Dorticus has had a long career. Still a good fighter. But because the division is what it is, he's got opportunities based on past experiences. I think Zurdo wins it comfortably. I'm going to go for Zurdo on points with that one. I think, you know, there could be moments in it, but I just think this passed its sell-by date in terms of a super fight that it could have been from years ago. Floyd Schofield versus Tevin Farmer. Good fight this. Tevin Farmer gave Zurdo hell. Zurdo improved in the second fight, but there was there was calls for Farmer to get a nod in the first fight versus Zurdo. So this is a good fight for Schofield Farmer. Both very good technically. This has been the hardest fight on Schofield's record, the biggest name for definite. I think that Schofield's going to come through based on youth. Tevin Farmer's still a wily old dog, but I just think that Schofield's just going to nick it. I think it's going to be a close fight, this one, but I'm going to go for Schofield on a close points decision. Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez. I can't see anything other than a Jake Paul win. There's been, I don't want to get liable for this, but there's been talk that Jake Paul puts in contracts that he can't be beaten and things like that. I hope that's not the case, but that's the rumours. And again, it's only what I hear. It's not what I believe. But I think this goes to points, this one. I think Jake Paul wins this one on points. I would like to see Chavez Jr. win. But, I don't think he's ever really lived up to, so he's definitely not lived up to his father. For me, he's in this for the payday. I think Jake Paul wins in a fairly good fight there. I think it'll be pretty close. So yeah, like I say, it's nice to see that, Jake Paul is fighting an established name boxer. Like I say, again, we talk about sell-by dates. He's... for me, it's just a money fight for Chavez. I don't think he has any desire to, win. I wouldn't have thought, But yeah, we'll see what comes of it. It's a legit fight because he's a legit boxer, so that's one plus that's coming from the Jake Paul fight. And then last but not least is Shakan Peters. Good technically, not sure where his level will stand up. There's talk: is he British level, European? Where's his ceiling? So, yeah, this will be an interesting fight. Don't know too much about his opponent, Ray, however you want to pronounce it. But I'm going to go for a Shakan Peters win by 8 rounds. 8-round KO. I think you get the stoppage. I won the weekly wager this week. I believe it's probably 10-9 today. Don't quote me on that, but it's close. And I am going to go for my weekly wager. I was going to go for Wilder, to be honest. I was going to go for him, but Wilder's, his last few fights, you just don't know what Wilder you're going to get. It would have been a no-brainer a few years ago, but, time's not on anyone's side. But so I'm going to go for Christian Mbilli. I don't think he'll let me down. I think he will get the stoppage, and hopefully it'll be in the round that I picked. And that is it for my predictions for this week. Stay safe and enjoy the bloody boxing. Peace out.